The big, beautiful bill hitting some resistance in the House as lawmakers return to Washington to vote on the Senate's version of the legislation. Joining us now from Washington is Bloomberg's Tyler Kendall. Now, Tyler, Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, making this sound quite straightforward. I imagine this is not going to be straightforward through the next 24 hours.
Yeah, hey, John, good morning. This is by no means a done deal, though we are only expecting President Trump to ramp up the pressure from here, which does hold a lot of weight in Washington. We have to keep in mind that this House bill was designed not to ping pong between the two chambers, which means that if House members do want to make changes, they're likely going to have to call what's known as a conference committee on the procedural level, which means the Senate would have to get involved. That's sort of the wonky way of saying that if they do want changes, it's going to take time, and that could ultimately jeopardize that July 4th timeline. Now, we're running into the same issue in the House that we just saw play out in the Senate, which is that mainly Republicans are on board with the tax cut policy in this plan, but they're pretty divided over the spending cuts. And House Speaker Mike Johnson can really only afford to lose 3 Republicans, and he already lost 2 back in May. Thomas Massie of Kentucky and Warren Davidson of Ohio, and we're not expecting either of them to budge on their no vote, which means he can only afford to lose 1 more in addition in order for this to pass. Now, perhaps the most vocal group emerging at the moment is the House Freedom Caucus, who are accusing the Senate of not living up to its agreement for deeper spending cuts by a tune of $500 billion. But I would also keep our eyes on some of those moderate Republicans in some important battleground districts who have raised concerns about the changes to Medicaid. Not necessarily tightening the work requirements, but lowering the Medicaid provider tax, which would essentially mean less federal matching funds for these states that expanded coverage under the Affordable Care Act. In fact, John, 16 of these Republicans signed a letter last week saying that they would not support the bill if it lowered this provider tax. And at this point, we're waiting to see if they're willing to defy President Trump.